Hi, my name is Ashlyn, and I'm on a journey to own a mortgage-free home in the next 5 years. I was thinking recently about a few things that I'm really glad I learned about personal finance in my 20s, and I thought I would share a few of those in case they help you. Now, I say these are things you should know in your 20s, but that's really just because I'm in my 20s right now, and I'm glad I know them now. Had I known them even earlier, that probably would have been even better, and had I known them later, I would just be glad that I'd found them out anyway. So if you are younger or older, I hope there are a few things in here that you take away as maybe things that you are either glad that you know already or glad that you are learning about now. Before we jump in, I'm trying to reach 150 subscribers, so if you are not subscribed, please do that right now. It really helps my channel and I would really appreciate it. And then last thing before we get started, these are just things that I think, and I'm not a professional, I'm just some random on the internet, so please don't be offended by these if it's not something that you agree with. I would love to hear your thoughts about your maybe top things that you know about personal finance in the comments, but like I said, it's just my opinion. Personal finance is personal, so if you don't agree, maybe this isn't part of your personal finance plan. So the first thing is know how to budget. This is something that I thought I knew how to do, but I really am still getting the hang of it. I'm getting much better now, but it's taken years of budgeting to get to this point. So in my teens, I did not live on a budget. I did not know really what a budget was, and I kind of ignored the fact that I needed one. But when it comes to you and your life, everybody has finances, so everybody needs to know something about those finances or things are going to start going wrong. The wheels are going to start falling off the wagon. So if you have money coming in, it's important to know where that money needs to go and where it did go so that you are not just left with nothing at the end of the month, living paycheck to paycheck and feeling stressed about your finances all the time. So a budget is awesome. The second thing is learn how to tell yourself no. This is super hard to do no matter who you are or what you're doing, no matter what your goals are, because we kind of live in a world where it's very me, and everybody on social media is always sharing all the awesome things that they're doing for themselves, buying for themselves. Everybody wants those awesome things that they're seeing all over the place. But if you learn to tell yourself no, you've got so much more control over the things that you're spending on, especially when those things almost, I would say 80% of the time that I want to impulse buy something, it's not something that I actually will use and love long term. It's just like a short-term burst of happiness as I spend my money and then I have regret afterwards. Next is to build up an emergency fund. This kind of goes along with the first and second things, but an emergency fund is like the piece of my life. We used to not have an emergency fund, and when things would pop up like a car repair or maybe rent increases, maybe your dog gets sick or your child gets sick and you have to take them to the doctor and pay that copay or whatever. And it can be really stressful if you don't have money set aside for that sort of thing and you're just trying to scramble and figure out how you're going to pay for that, as well as everything else that you already have on your monthly budget, your monthly plate of things to pay for. But having an emergency fund, it takes those really stressful situations and just makes them kind of an annoyance more than anything. And you've just got that emergency fund there to take care of you when those things arise. So if you are somebody who experiences just the day-to-day stress of not having enough money, I think these, honestly, all of these tips will help, but this one is huge. Having money set aside that is only for emergencies. A vacation is not an emergency, Christmas is not an emergency, but real emergencies that come up, it's just like a breath of relief. Next is to set financial goals. If you don't have a goal that you're aiming towards, even if it's something small, like I want to have $500 set aside, then you're kind of just floating directionless and you've got no reason to stick to your budget or have that emergency fund or anything like that. So having financial goals and financial goals that you are excited about and are important to you is going to be really helpful. This one is pretty controversial, which is interesting to me, but like I said, personal finance is personal. Stop increasing your debt, and going even further, pay off your debt. Things like car loans and furniture loans, personal loans, student loans, all of these things, even credit cards. They're just things that you use to have things that you can't afford, and those things add up to be a lot of money a month, most often for most people. And your income is really the best tool that you have to grow your wealth and create a life that you want and love. But if you're giving all of that money to the lenders, then you don't really have much of a tool to use anymore to build that wealth and increase your ability to live the life that you want to. So that's just my 2 cents, and stop going into debt. The last thing is to make room in your budget to invest. Time is your friend when it comes to investing, and if you're in your 20s, then you have so much time before it's time to retire that you can use compound interest to increase the amount of money that you have. Investing is a super powerful tool, especially when you're young. So this is one that I am a really big fan of. So starting out, right now we're being really intense with our savings for a home. So I've kind of shut off all of our investments, but it's gonna be really short term that we're doing that, just for a few months that we'll be doing that, and then they'll come back on. Just like a Roth IRA, a 401k through your job, anything like that. It's super easy. They take it out in your paycheck before you ever even see it. So then it's an automatic thing that you don't even have to think about. And then if you have room outside of that, investing in mutual funds and that sort of thing, it's really not as difficult as people make it seem. I just barely started a personal investment account last summer, I believe, and I was really nervous to do it, and I just, like, everything that I was reading and looking at made it sound so complicated, but it's super simple. And if you are just steady and not jumping in and out of the market, buying single stocks and being like a day trader, then it's really a good thing. I put my money in to this investment account. I can't even remember when. The market went down like really fast right after I'd put it in. But I wasn't worried about it because this is a long-term thing for me. So I just left it where it was, and it's now increased by a lot. So I think investing is awesome, and it's a great thing if you have room in your budget. And if you're at a time in your life that you can be doing that, then I think that's an awesome thing to do for your future self. I would love to know what some of the things that you know or do right now. Maybe that's in your 20s, maybe that's in your 30s. What are those things that you think are super important to know? I would love to hear about them in the comments. Please like this video. It really helps my channel. And I will see you again next week for another video. Bye!